spring brings certain expectations with its sunshine and garden planting, outdoor picnics, and flower picking. Tea time is fun for little ones, but I think the more exciting part is actually just eating a treat outside. After so long inside, it's just a treat in itself to be outside with food, right? This year, I've been perfecting a fluffy cream scone. And after experimenting with both cream and then full-fat milk, I discovered the milk to provide a much more appealing and delectable scone. It was just a scone that rose better and also had the typical scone crumb. Before you think I completely ousted the cream though, know that I also include sour cream in this recipe. Cultured food is welcome in any quick bread here, right? My full-fat milk, I also have to say, is farm fresh from the cow and probably more like 15% cream as opposed to conventional milk, 4%. So it does have more cream. You might want to even consider doing half cream, half milk, or, like a half and half. Here's how we get it done with the ancient grain einkorn. I'm using all-purpose einkorn today to help with the classic flavor as well as give it a little bit more rise. You want to start with cold butter. In a large mixing bowl, add in the 3½ cups of all-purpose einkorn flour, your salt, a tablespoon of baking powder, and your choice of sugar. I'm using an organic cane sugar today for the best pictures. It will also provide a lighter sweetness. But I've also used coconut, and you can feel free to try maple sugar or coconut sugar. Just let me know how it turns out. I'd love to hear. It will always change the flavor and the texture a little bit, but don't be afraid to try new things. Please don't try liquids such as maple syrup. That will completely change the texture. Scones are unique in that they have a thick density and they have a crumb. I don't always appreciate the crumb, I gotta admit, like when I'm in a car. But next to coffee, it is pretty scrumptious. After mixing together the dry ingredients, cut your butter into little tiny cubes. I like to do this with a knife, though I've heard a lot of others prefer to grate frozen butter into their flour mixture with a cheese grater. Either way works, just make sure that you mix it all in evenly. And then we'll add the sour cream and milk. This dough is hard to come together. It will take a couple minutes to get everything combined. I like to use my hands for this. Also be sure to add some folds in. This will really help the rise as it kind of takes in the air, and it helps during the baking process because you'll have extra air in there for the rise. You can see more on this in my biscuit recipe video, and honestly, I use it a lot in bread because it really does help the einkorn. Once combined, cover the dough ball with plastic wrap and place in the refrigerator for about 5 or 10 minutes to let the moisture be absorbed. Einkorn, being an ancient grain, has more protein, nutrients, more density than modern wheat, and it takes a little extra time to absorb hydration. Thankfully, this won't be long as it's all-purpose flour, so there's a little bit less of the density in this type of flour. I'll put a link below so you can see the favorite places of mine to get the einkorn flour. After your 5 to 10 minutes are up, take the dough out and roll it into a kind of a log to cut in half. I like to use my bench scraper that my hubby made me for this, but I also know Kui Housewares has a nice stainless steel one, and you can get 15% off using their link below. So you can check that out too. So once you have rolled out and cut your dough in half, you're going to use one of your halves and roll that to 10 inches by 3.5 inches in a rectangle. This is also a good time to turn on the oven. While you're rolling it out, make sure the corners are squared off well, and this will help the shape overall as it bakes. Now, using your bench scraper or a knife, cut 3 even sections from your rectangle, about 3.3 inches long each. Then cut a diagonal line down each of these little squares. These will be your scones. Place these on a parchment-lined baking sheet and cover with plastic wrap. Then you'll put these back in the refrigerator while the oven heats up. And this will chill the dough to a point that will help the baking and rising of the dough, because you've got lots of butter in here. And there is just something magical that happens when you chill the butter before you bake it. After 15 minutes or overnight, if you want to make them in advance for a morning breakfast treat, take your ready-to-bake scones and brush them with milk or cream. You can also sprinkle them with sugar if you desire, and then bake them for 14 to 16 minutes. I love that I can just pull the parchment off the baking sheet onto the cooling rack, and I'm just so happy every single time I do this with how clean this keeps things. So our plan this afternoon is to get the backyard ready with a pretty little tablecloth over a little kid-sized table while the sister naps. And then when she is brought out right after she wakes up, we'll surprise her with these scones. This was fun for brothers to do. It's not quite a tea party, but even little things can be super exciting, right? And these scones are always exciting for the kids. Welcome to spring, everyone. I hope you make room for the season by getting outside and enjoying the life around you. From the Hilltop, I'm Krista, and I'll see you again soon.